Good morning. Peace and harmony with you here today. We're going to focus in on some of the effects of psychopathic abuse, or when you've encountered a psychopathic individual or who you feel might be psychopathic. And wow, there's so much to cover on this content. There's so much to cover on this topic. I could do just a huge number of videos on each of the specifics. So I'm going to try to break it down and focus in very specifically as it relates to psychopathy and how that really, how they overpower others. And I think I want to focus in on the psychopathic mask. So the idea that the psychopath is an individual who is known as an intra-species predator. They can be very intelligent. They can be very charming. They can oftentimes be very much the center of attention, and they very much can win people over very quickly. Where all of a sudden, when you're in their presence, you feel at ease. You feel that there's something wonderful about them. You can't quite put your finger on it. They might just, there's something in air about them. There's something in their aura. There's something in their energy field that seems very attractive. And what oftentimes seems very attractive is their psychopathic gaze, where when they look at you, you just feel entranced, you feel mesmerized, and you feel a sort of fascination with this individual. And what's fascinating oftentimes is the fact that they do not flinch, they do not experience fear. That oftentimes they don't have the same anxiety as others. So they just seem to be ultra chill and not really get disturbed by everyday normal events, relationships, emotional episodes, things that normally most people would have a sensitivity to or a reaction to or a feeling about. They just don't feel it. It's almost as if they have a complete numbness, a complete ice running through their veins where they're just not affected by it. And this is related to the emotional dysregulation within the regions of their brain and their neural wiring. The psychopath who is devoid of conscience is devoid of empathy, which means they have no real ability to bond or love others. So when we talk about love, it's a feeling of appreciation. It's a feeling of closeness, a feeling of warmth, a feeling of affection, a feeling of relatedness and enjoyment with their company. So we all, I think, understand what love is. So they're the ultimate love fraud. They're the ultimate person fraud, because they have a very deliberate mask or persona or image that they are going to present, which is very charming, which can present as very, they can be very intelligent. So they can hold down, very high positions within organizations. They can be extremely good looking. They can be very manipulative. So because of their deficits within their brain regions, it really helps create an overabundance of other characteristics, which is lack of conscience and the ability to become very much prone to boredom. So they have a very high propensity and a lot of energy to keep themselves stimulated. So these people can go around the clock. They are tireless. So if you've met an individual who you're just like, this is inhuman, the amount of energy that they have, chances are there's psychopathy in motion. And not just, again, I want to give the disclaimer that it's not like the everyday person who's just motivated, ambitious, high integrity. We're talking about people who need to fill up their life with conquering others, overpowering others, taking advantage of others in order to satisfy their extreme and severe selfishness. So we see this coupled with exploitation of others. So exploitation of others means that this individual, very much the end result of their relationships ends in somebody getting hurt. And not just like somebody getting hurt, somebody getting severely hurt, traumatized, devastated, financially ruined, professionally ruined, having smear campaigns told about them behind their back, violation and betrayal of their personal character. Oftentimes there's a lot of humiliation involved, where this person will completely turn on them on a dime and insult them, stab their back, make up stories about them. It's just this is how they operate. This is a psychopath really is all about presenting a facade, a mask to others. So they allure them in through a very charming disposition, very affable. Oftentimes they can be very humorous, highly sexualized, meaning there just seems to be a je ne sais quoi, a sexual appeal about them, where they just, seem to entrap others with the things that they say or the way that they do, the way that they sit. They tend to command a lot of attention. The males can be, highly dominant in terms of their testosterone, so they have kind of a lot of sexual juice, sexual charisma, sexuality about them. But yet the way that they use this is they know that they have this impact on others and will victimize women through this hypersexualization, through high-risk sexual acts, through depersonalizing them. And when I say depersonalizing, I mean really treating them like an object. I mean, not using their name. There's a very much a feeling that this individual is being used and abused through emotional manipulation, breaking them down by having to be on their mind constantly. I think that's one of the main things, is that they tend to exhaust their targets. They tend to find somebody who contains the qualities that they lack. So they're going to look for people who are extremely nurturing, extremely caring, very affectionate, have a need for this relationship. And then, here they come bumbling in and then create, generally a sob story about them, how, they have been hurt. They have been, overused by women, or, they're divorced. So there's usually going to be a sob story where then they pull the heartstrings of their target, where they get to then feel, oh, poor you. And then they then disclose those parts of themselves to them, and then they tend to feel for them, so they drop their guard down, drop their boundaries. And when it's in this phase, then, that in the dropping of the boundaries, that the psychopath is then going to be like, ha ha, I got you, you gave it to me, you gave it up for me. And then they're going to do the devalue and discarding. So it's really kind of, in the love bombing phase, there's almost a self-abandonment that tends to take place, where the person basically just loses control of themselves, loses self-responsibility, overcommits to the psychopath, gives into their hypersexual advances, gives into their love talk, gives into their sex bombing, and then gets into this very, illusion feeling of relationship, where everything else seems to fade away. Nothing else seems important. Their work doesn't seem important. Their family doesn't seem important. They're kind of in their own little bubble. They're in their own world. They're really kind of, in a cocoon, or in this bubble, which is the feeling of being addicted to this very pleasurable cocktail of, dopamine, norepinephrine, a lot of these hormones going on, that then creates this highly elevated sort of euphoric sense from this individual. So the psychopath is very much aware of the impact that they have on others, the impact. So they know that they can overpower people, and so if they meet someone who they can't overpower, basically, they're gonna let them go. Although they might also look at them as a challenge later on. So the psychopath will have this dynamic with a number of different people going at once. So, they might have someone who, is a specific type of personality, and they'll go with someone who is another type of personality. So they'll go with someone who's very girly, and then someone who's very rough, and then someone who's very conservative, someone's very liberal, someone who's a very much eco-friendly, to someone who's very toxic. So they can juggle a number of different relationships, and it's usually on a very conquest basis. And so, they can run around the clock with these relationships and juggle a lot. And so the mask that they present to you is not the person who they are. It's really, it's just a mask. It's a persona designed to be a good fit for you and get them where they want to go with you. But yet they have no intention of being there for the long run. So even though you're getting lured in, you want a real relationship, you feel like it's love, you feel like this is the best thing that's ever happened to you, you feel like, this person is saying, I promise this, I promise that. They'll make a lot of these gratuitous promises to you, so you feel more fully committed. So the psychopath knows that they have you completely wrapped around their finger, all 10 fingers. They've got you basically played, like a puppeteer. And then, when the distancing comes in, then you end up getting very defensive and trying to get that back. And then this paranoia sets in, this hypervigilance sets in. this fear of losing them sets in. And so the individuals then, because of they've been so brainwashed and so gaslighted and so manipulated emotionally, then they tend to have these flashbacks or these feeling of fear of losing this individual, this paranoia. So then they'll again violate themselves, abandon their own sense of right or wrong, become fully distracted and immersed with trying to figure out this individual. This detective work starts to go on. They're trying to fix the relationship, suss them out, figure out where they are. Where are my goods? Where's my drug? Where are you? And so they become really, out of control. And so this is one of the also, really identifying key features if you're being emotionally manipulated is you just, it's pulling out the worst of you. You are doing crazy things, but you feel a compulsion to do it. Your body is so overjuiced, overcharged from this individual that you are kind of losing your sense of balance. You're losing your vision of right or wrong. You're losing your self-respect. You're losing your accountability to yourself. So you're trying to figure this out, and you think it's in the name of love, but you have to figure this out for yourself. Otherwise, this feeling won't go away. You have this terror of withdrawal. It's like a drug withdrawal where you have to satisfy it right away, and nothing else matters. So it's almost like getting a fix. So in that, we have these intrusive thoughts then going where the mind is playing tricks on you. And this again is just, your emotional dysregulation going haywire based on the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, and the brainwashing, the dehumanizing, the dissociation that the psychopath has created psychologically within their victim. And this is all calculated. This is all deliberate. And so I think that's one of the biggest shams of these con people is that they know the destructive effect that they have on these individuals and how people end up losing it. Oftentimes, in the love bomb process, they'll make big career changes. People will give over keys to their house, keys to their bank account. And so these people become depleted, exhausted, oftentimes, entering into states of shock, post-traumatic stress syndrome, complex PTSD, and feeling like they can no longer focus on their life, they can no longer function. They feel this extreme anxiety, and it's very much tied to this individual. So very terrifying. And if you've encountered this, you need to realize that this is just the effect of a psychopathic manipulator who's looking to really just manipulate and control you, and it's very scary. And you need to stop it as soon as you have identified this is going on. Seek professional counseling. You can contact me at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com. I'd be happy to help you get through these initial stages and consult with you on that and help you provide some solutions and tools to help stabilizing you. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.